Hello, everyone, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for Israel Cloud for facilitating this webinar. And thank you, all the people in the audience. I see here many familiar faces, but many people that I never met. So I hope for all of you that you will enjoy. I will start with the presentation now, and if you have questions, feel free to ask as part of the Q&A. As I mentioned, I think that will be a very fun presentation. My presentation is regarding open source intelligence tools to know. There are many of such tools. My name is Alex Peleg. I'm the Chief Visionary Officer of a company called Cynergy. And I think of myself as a hacker with a lot of experience both in reconnaissance and threat intelligence, and many other parts of the tradecraft of hacking and red teaming. Now, a little bit about Cynergy. Cynergy is a continuous validation and remediation platform which helps reducing the time from discovery of a vulnerability to its remediation by continuously discovering assets and vulnerabilities, validating them, prioritizing them, and helping the company to remediate the risk. So this is a short item regarding the company that I'm helping its product to get better. Now, the agenda for today is, first of all, why using open source intelligence? And I'll present three very cool tools. The first one is netlast.io, grep.app, and MISP. Anyone that is in the topic of threat intelligence, of course, knows about MISP, or I hope so. But Netlast is something is very cool that I want to start presenting, and of course, grep. So let's start with why open source intelligence. And it's a very big question which must be answered. First of all, data is power. As much as I know about my organization and sometimes about the organization that I work with, it allows me to have leverage and it allows me to understand very fast what are my weak points and to know what are the things that I need to defend. The second thing is having the hacker's perspective. Open source intelligence allows us with minimal efforts to gain a better understanding of what a hacker that wants to attack our organization sees about the organization, and to better understand what are the tools and the tactics that these hackers are using in order to hack my organization or any similar organization like my own. And the last bit is to have the discovery of information outside the organization. Most of the time, we have a very good know-how regarding what happens with our employees and our organization inside, but we don't understand what happens in the social media, maybe publications that are relevant to our business vertical, etc. So it's always good to have a visibility regarding what happens in the outside world. I will start the tools review with the netlast.io. Now, Shodan is a tool that helps identifying services in the internet. Most of you know it, but there is a new player, which is called Netlast, and it enables to search the internet for services that are exposed, and it enables me as a threat intelligence analyst to have a better view or a more granular granular view regarding the exposure of the organization. Basically enabling me to understand what are the exposed assets of the organization, get the attacker's view, and close the gaps that we have. So I'll jump right in to the view of NetLast. So just if you don't believe me, this is NetLast. And app.netlast.io, the registration is easy and it's free. And I'll just show you little capabilities based on the queries that you already have inside the platform. I will not go and look for other stuff, but basically the app is loading. You have the ability to have documents that provide you the information. And what I did is this query was look for HTTP headers where the set cookie item says Mongo Express and the geolocation in the country is US. So we see that there are several, I think 174 instances that are identified in the US. Now it's not very specific, but we can continue and adding and or basically queries to the sentence to be more granular. So if you want to get specific information which is relevant to our company, then we can add these queries. So it provides me a very robust tool to understand the exposure of specific elements of my infrastructure. So what can I get here? If I'm just a sporadic hacker that wants to hack the world, then once I click on this button, I can get to this Mongo Express view. Now, I will not show which of the instances it was, just for the sake of this company, but we have the access to Mongo Express, to the database. We can try to understand the configuration, view the configuration, and do some malicious stuff in the database itself. Super cool, very easy, and requires low to minimum effort from a hacker's perspective. Now, if you set and add the organization name, if you have a specific organization, then it's super important tool that we have as analysts to get the attacker's view. What else can I see here is the country, the CVEs, the related risks that this Mongo or these Mongo instances have. The whois ranges, the AS number, so what are the organizations that the naming is associated. So we can see that there are several cloud providers. And of course, much more information regarding the different tagging of the instances, the protocols that are used, and the different ports that are identified. Super cool, and most of all, free. Now, any questions that you have regarding this? Because most likely most of you experience it for the first time. Of course, I can download it. So let me know if there are questions.
Yes, there is one question. So we have an anonymous attendee. That is, his question is how to monitor and curate attackers' TTPs or IOA and use them to identify these nasty things in the environment. Except Meter, can we get the details on other open source?
Yes, sure. So I will show you the last tool that I will show is MISP, and once we'll get to there, I think that you'll have the answer. Okay, and if not, then we can come back to this question again. So the second tool that I want to present, sorry for jumping. So the second tool that I want to present to you is grep.app. Now, why grep.app is cool, because many of the risks that we have inside the organization are based on code leaks or data that is leaked in our source code by developers. Now, what grep.app enables is to search in multiple Git repositories and cultures the specific keywords. So if I'm going to search, not in Hebrew, but about Cynergy, then we can see all the Git repositories that are relevant and disclose information. Now, as an attacker perspective, many times these Git repositories also include API keys. So if we go to our code presenter, Digital Shadows, and I'm just, I don't want to be very specific, but I'm looking for Digital, and I want to search for API keys that maybe are relevant. So I can search for combination of digital and API and see that there are several repositories with the following paths and the following languages that have the combination of digital and API as part of their repository. Now, I need to be an analyst of the organization, because most of the analysts understand from all of these repositories what are the relevant repositories to my organization and what are not, because there are many people that are creating open source in the world, and they can name their repos and the parameters in the code in whatever they want. So how can I understand that this specific repository is associated to my organization? Many times, once I go and inspect this repository, I know who is the owner of the repository and who was the submitter. I can tell you from experience that there are developers, and I don't want to name, but sometimes there are developers that are outsourced that get the code and export it to their own private repos. So if I know that there is a specific, very unique GUID that is associated to my code. And by the way, you can add this as part of your CI. So if I know that there is something that is called foo, I don't know, foo1 or something, I'll just, let's say, function create bucket, and it's a very specific function that we name it specifically in our organization. And we use grep.app, and we see that this specific function appears on a public repository, and then we see that the person that published this repository is also an employee of ours, maybe an outsourcer that leaked this code. Then it's a major impact towards our organization. Of course, for this specific employee, it may have an impact regarding his continuity of work. But from our organization, it's super important, because it means that our IP maybe have been leaked to outside repositories, and this is something that we want to avoid. So there are not many threat intelligence analysts or security analysts that look into it. But I can provide you a solution adding a very unique code of line as part of your CI may help to tackle this specific problem. And once you have or a manual work, or you can of course use the work of our co-hosts to try to identify these leaks in the code itself via the various platforms that they have integrated. So this is regarding grep.app. Any questions?
Yes, we have a question. what does netlast.io give us that Shodan doesn't?
So we're going back to our previous platform. So Shodan is a very cool tool, and what netlast.io gives us that Shodan doesn't give us is to be very, very, very specific. Now, if you want to get the CV details in Shodan, you need to go. And by the way, I have it, I think, as an example, because I knew that you would ask it. So if you want to be very specific and get the CV details for a specific system in Shodan, then you need to dig in. And sometimes you'll get it and sometimes you won't, okay? Sometimes you get just this data, but if you go to the raw data, then you will be able to extract all the CVs that are relevant. In this case, netlast.io is very similar to another platform, which is in Chinese origin, which is even more active, which is called Zoomai. I don't know if you heard of it, and provides another information regarding CV data. There's a lot of more data that you can get from Netlast that you don't get from Shodan, but I think that first of all you need to play with it. Now, if I'm already in Shodan and I didn't intended it, but there is a very cool way to detect services, as I did with the Netlast in Shodan, is using the favicon hash. So if you don't know this method, then there is basically a Git repository that has all the favicon hash numbers, and you can do a specific search with the favicon hash in order to get this data, something that is given in netlast.io. Okay, so you can basically do the same item in netlast.io without this help or with different methods. May I continue? Or there are another questions?
Yes, another question. Can Netlast be used via API?
Yes, there is an API. I think, I don't know for sure if it's paid or not, but yes, there is an API integration. I think that it's built for API. So if you want to get this information and continuously run on your environment, or integrate it with your SIEM services, most likely you can run. I'm sure that there is an API, okay? And I even more than think, I just don't present it right away, okay? So I don't, we can deep dive on a later session on that. The last platform that I want to show, because I want to give some time, is the most important platform. We keep the best to the last. MISP is an open source project that allows threat sharing. What is threat sharing? Many organizations, so you've seen line number 3, it's widely adopted platform that more than 6,000 organizations all over the world are using in order to put their IOC, the indicators of compromise feeds, to this platform. Now it's free, it's totally open source, it supports MITRE ATT&CK, the TTPs, the tools, the tactics and the practices of the hackers. And the most important thing is it has shared knowledge of multiple organizations. Now, the way that many organizations are using MISP, by the way, I think that most of your threat intelligence providers are using it as well, and they are giving it to you for money, is that basically this is MISP. And the way that you're using it is you can, as an administrator, create a job of syncing. And sorry, I just started the sync process yesterday. So you can see the feeds that you have, and basically you have specific feeds that you can add multiple feeds. There is a huge feeds list in the repo of MISP. And once you set the feeds, there are jobs of syncing these feeds. So you see that I have a feed that is syncing is on 70%. And what does it mean, syncing the feeds? You get the events that are happening to thousands of companies all over the world. So it can be historic feeds, or it can be something new. Again, I'm in the sync process, so it's still haven't triggered. But what can I see from this specific feed? Now, first of all, you can see regarding a specific malware that is being used on a different organization. You can get the source of this event, and you can also understand what are the tools that are being used. You can get the full IOC feed. So instead of getting IOC feeds and checking them with a virus total to see if they are relevant, many times you'll get this IOC. So if there is an emerging attack that happens somewhere in Africa, but it still didn't came to Israel, and it's done by a specific APT group. Now you can go, first of all, understand what is this alert and what is the APT group that is using it. And you can get much more information regarding the specific IOCs, the specific threat actor that is using. So you have all the details, all the synonyms of this APT group, and the attributions that different companies gave it. So it's an aggregation of multiple companies, because one company FireEye will call it APT 28, and F5 will call it Pawn Storm or Fancy Bear, and it's one place that gives you the naming convention. And the most important thing is that you'll get here indicators of compromise, which you can inject to your SIEM platforms and get information of attacks that are just happening somewhere in the world. So this is how I see threat intelligence and how I see collaboration in the field of threat intelligence per se. Now, there are multiple integrations that you can do with this. This is a server that I'm running locally on my computer that fetches the data, but you can run a similar server in your organization, use the built-in connectors to connect to your SIEM products. There are support and integration. So you see here a little bit all data, but it's because it's still syncing. You will be able to get information regarding real and live attacks while they're happening, and block them as part of your organization detection capabilities. And basically, this way you can prevent the next attack. And this is how I see threat intelligence per se. Questions regarding MISP?
Yes, we have one question. Could you please share the links for integration of the tools into the environment?
Yeah, so the integration for of the tool, so you can do it basically both as part of the administration, and you can export the events, and you can also there is automation and export. So you can also do the automation part. So you can get this via a specific API key that you create, and you can basically a little bit of very simple coding, and you can basically use the built-in API in order to integrate it to the different tools. Again, it's a tool that you need to learn and understand. By the way, there are multiple guides for this tool in order to integrate it. It has integration based on HP's systems to ArcSight, to Splunk SIM, to Microsoft ATP and the Defender platform, and to Azure Sentinel. So again, I don't think that we will be able to show all the integrations right away, but saying again, you can go to MISP project, and get, first of all, get this VM, and you can run it. I'm currently running it on a virtual machine locally, and basically explore all the options and all the capabilities for integration. If I'm saying that there's the one tool that you must have as part of your OSINT and threat intelligence, so this is the tool, okay? Because it enables you to digest information from all over the world and get the real automation and threat intelligence that you need. So, and of course, free.
Alex, you are muted.
Yeah, I'm on the Q&A. Do you have any questions?
No questions for now, so I think we can continue with Niall's session. And if there will be any more questions, you are free to answer, via the Q&A and the chat.
Yes, for sure. Now, if someone wants to ask more questions, feel free to drop me an email via alex@cynergy.app. I will be able to share with you this presentation. And of course, if you have deep down information regarding integrations, etc., that I didn't go in depth, feel free to ask me, Alex Peleg, and I wish good luck to my co-host, Neil. Neil, the floor is yours.